In 1867, Kansas State University held its first commencement. 3 women and 2 men graduated that year. As the first land-grant university in the nation, this fledgling university had a vision of providing innovative education to all people. That early vision has continued through to the present, with over 250 majors and a diverse student body, including students from all 50 states and more than 100 countries. Becoming one of the nation's top 50 public research universities by 2025 is today's vision for tomorrow. With academic programs among the best in the nation and professors who are leaders in their fields, Kansas State University is an international leader in teaching, learning, service, and research. Today's graduates join over 200,000 alumni who are proud to call K-State their alma mater. Congratulations, and thank you to all those who have supported them through their undergraduate experience at Kansas State University.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Spring 2015 Commencement exercises of the College of Business Administration. I'm Anand Desai, Associate Dean of the College. Please remain standing and join Ms. Miranda Burns, Senior in Entrepreneurship, in singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Miranda. Would everyone please be seated? Before we proceed with our program, I would like to introduce members of the platform party. Please hold your applause until the entire platform party has been introduced. Beginning from my far left, we have Dr. Brett Wilkinson, Head, Department of Accounting, Dr. Eric Higgins, Head, Department of Finance, Dr. Stacy Kovar, Associate Dean for Academic Programs, Ms. Julie Davis, Commencement Speaker, Dr. Kirk Schulz, President of Kansas State University, Dr. April Mason, Provost of Kansas State University, Dr. Don Martin, Assistant Dean for Diversity, Mr. Michael Records, Graduating Senior, Ms. Suhani Gandhi, Graduating Senior, Mr. David Lehman, Instructor, Department of Marketing, Dr. Kevin Gwinner, Head, Department of Marketing, Dr. William Turnley, Interim Head, Department of Management, and Ms. Linda Cook, Assistant Vice President, Kansas State University Alumni Association. Please also join me in thanking our commencement marshals, Dr. Jan Crow, Dr. Donita Whitney Bamerlin, Bente Janda, and Ashley Croissant for their generous service as commencement marshals. Thank you. I'm delighted that you are here to celebrate this special event in the lives of our graduates, an event that marks the culmination of many years of hard work and sacrifice in the pursuit of knowledge, a meaningful career, and a promising future. Graduates, today is a wonderful day for you and your families. It is my privilege to share this very special occasion with you, and I know as you go forward, you will make us all very proud. However, no one is happier or prouder of your accomplishments than those loved ones gathered here today. I want to take this moment to acknowledge the encouragement and support your families have provided for your success. Would the parents, spouses, and children of our graduates please stand and be recognized? I know that many of our families here today are celebrating a family tradition as a new generation joins the ranks of K-State alumni. Would all those present today who hold degrees from Kansas State University please stand for us to honor each family's Wildcat legacy. Thank you. Although we are here today to honor the accomplishments of the graduates, we also acknowledge the faculty and staff who have worked with our graduates in completing their studies. In honor of the faculty and professional staff who have served you with such dedication, I ask you, graduates, to please stand and applaud their contribution to your success. I am pleased to publicly recognize several faculty and staff members named as recipients of prestigious awards. Dr. Sartoris Culbertson, Assistant Professor of Management, is the recipient of the Ralph Wrights Outstanding Teaching Award. Dr. Myung-Kyo Kim, Assistant Professor of Management, is the recipient of the CBA Developing Scholar Award for 2015. And Ms. Ashley Croissant is the recipient of the Kansas State Bank Outstanding Advising Award. Congratulations to all three of you. We have a number of graduates whose excellence in leadership, scholarship, and service to the university community have been recognized through significant university-wide awards. As I read your name, please stand to be recognized. Marcus Herring, Sharon Williams, Mercedes Perry, and Marcus Dobson. Please join me in congratulating these graduates. One special group of graduates who have made significant contributions to the college is those who have served as a business ambassador while an undergraduate student. Would business ambassadors please stand to be recognized? Thank you for your excellent service. We are honored to have Kansas State University President Kirk Schultz, Provost April Mason, and Assistant Vice President of the K-State Alumni Association, Linda Cook, join us. Thank you for being here, President Schultz, Provost Mason, and Vice President Cook. Now it is my distinct honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Ms. Julie L. Davis, class of 1978. Julie Davis is a founding principal of Davis and Hosfield Consulting, a nationally recognized litigation consulting firm located in Chicago. Over the course of her career, Julie has developed a national reputation in the intellectual property area and has been asked to testify in several of the largest patent infringement lawsuits in America. She is the co-author of Edison in the Boardroom, a book published in June 2001 that has been widely praised by numerous Fortune 500 executives. Julie graduated from Kansas State University with a BSBA in accounting in 1978. In addition to graduating first in her class, Julie was also a senior class president, vice president of Mortar Board, a student senator, and residence hall counselor. Julie received the Gold Key in the state of Kansas for achieving the highest score in the state on the CPA examination in her senior year. After graduation, Julie joined the audit practice of Touche Ross. Prior to starting her own firm, Julie led the intellectual property consulting practices of both Arthur Andersen and KPMG. In honor of her accomplishments and contributions to the school and the profession, Julie was inducted into K-State's Accounting Hall of Fame in the fall of 2000. She was also named as the College of Business Administration's Alumni Fellow in 2009. Julie has addressed a graduating class at Kansas State University on 2 prior occasions. Julie, thank you for making the time to address our Spring 2015 business graduates. Please join me in welcoming one of CBA's most distinguished and accomplished alumni, Ms. Julie L. Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Desai, Dr. Schultz, Dr. Mason, distinguished faculty, friends and family of these honored graduates, and most importantly, you, the graduating class of 2015. Thank you for inviting me to join you today. It's a distinct honor for me to be among the first to congratulate you on your achievement. As Dr. Desai mentioned, this is not my first rodeo. This is, in fact, the third time that I've addressed a graduating class at Kansas State University. It's been 37 years ago, almost to the day, that I first stood before a graduating class at K-State. I was a member of that graduating class, addressing the crowd as part of a long tradition. You see, back in those days, commencement included an all-university ceremony that took place at the football stadium. It started with a greeting from the governor and from the Board of Regents, and then the president of the university would give a charge to the class. It was the job of the senior class president, me, that year, to respond to that charge. My remarks that day focused on what we all had learned in the first 22 or 23 years leading up to our graduation at K-State. Some 23 years later, I stood before a different graduating class, this time the College of Business Administration class of 2001. I spoke that day on what I had learned in the years since I had graduated. I talked about the attributes that I thought formed the foundation of a successful career, characteristics that had been forged by most graduates as part of their K-State experience. Now, here I am again, 14 years smarter than the last time I was here. So this time I'll focus on some of that more recently acquired wisdom. In part, that wisdom comes from an event that changed the course of my career. When I last stood here, I was a partner at Arthur Andersen, one of the big 5 accounting and consulting firms in the world. Most of you know how that story played out. A year after my commencement address, that firm had unraveled amidst allegations of wrongdoing. The U.S. Department of Justice had filed criminal charges against the firm for its audit of Enron. As you probably also know, the Supreme Court eventually overturned the conviction of Arthur Andersen in that case, but by then the harm was already done. Some 85,000 talented professionals around the world were out of a job. Many of those professionals struggled to regain their footing. Most of them eventually landed on their feet. Some of the luckiest ones, myself included, ended up better off than we could have ever imagined. It's that latter group that I'm here to talk about today. What is it about those folks that made them so successful? I think that story might provide insights for this next phase of your lives. In short, it's the story of how our little consulting firm, Davis & Hosfield, came to be. What was it that made the difference between those who have gone on to create such great success from the ashes of Arthur Andersen and those who have not? The successful ones did so, I think, by doing 3 things particularly well. First, by staying true to their views and values. Second, by creating a personal brand. And third, by pursuing their passion. Let's look at those separately, starting with views and values. When the partners and employees of Arthur Andersen left the firm, they made choices. The most important of those, who to work for and who to work with. The happiest ones today are those who chose to associate with others who held similar views and values. As for me, I wanted to work with others who shared my Midwestern work ethic, who also believed in stewardship, perseverance, and self-sufficiency. I wanted to partner with someone of high integrity, someone who would always want to do the right thing, even when no one was looking. Fortunately, my partner Mark Hosfield felt the same way. He and I decided to start our own firm. We figured, at least initially, we would need 10 to 12 people to work with us. When it came time to invite others to join our new little firm, we had the benefit of choosing from dozens of professionals with whom we had been working for years. Of course, we wanted smart, articulate self-starters. They had to have strong analytical and interpersonal skills. Fortunately, nearly all of our former colleagues made that cut. You know what made the difference, though, between those whom we ultimately invited to join us and those we did not? I'll tell you, we wanted to associate with happy people. We picked people who loved their work and were happy to be doing what they were doing. There were no whiners or complainers who made that cut. In the early days of our startup enterprise, that attitude made a big difference. It still does. After all, who would you rather work with? Someone who is happy, optimistic, and fun to be around? Or someone who's grumpy, resentful, and always complaining about something? That factor not only influences our work environment, but it also impacts decisions made by our clients. It turns out that they too want to work with happy people. Let that be a lesson to you as you start your careers. You will want to be the person everyone wants to work with, not just because you're smart and because you work really hard, but because you project a very real image of enjoying the work you do. The second attribute that contributed to the success of the people in our story is personal brand. You're asking, what does that mean exactly? Perhaps I can best describe it with another story. Back in 2001, Arthur Andersen was one of the biggest names in the business world. The firm had a stellar reputation. That reputation created a halo effect upon those of us who were lucky enough to work there. We too were highly regarded, merely because we were associated with a world-class company. The brand name of the firm opened doors and opportunities. Clearly, though, that wasn't enough. When the firm dissolved, so too did the career prospects for many of its employees. Those who have gone on to become most successful in their post-Andersen lives did so by creating a personal brand. When Mark and I started our own new firm, the first order of business was contacting every client we'd ever worked with to let them know where we were and what we were doing. I personally made over 200 phone calls to the lawyers I had worked with over the course of my career. One of the most encouraging comments I heard back in response was from a well-known partner at a big-name national law firm who told me, "Julie, we never hired you because of the brand name of the firm you worked for. You had your own brand. We hired you because of you." Your personal brand is not your job or your resume or your elevator pitch or your LinkedIn profile. It is so much bigger than all of that. It's everything you stand for and your reputation with others. It's what others say about you when you leave the room. It's how the world sees you and how you see yourself. A strong personal brand will enhance your career. It expands your options and choices in life. Do not define yourself simply by whom you work for. The third attribute of the successful people in our story is that they are pursuing their passion. I know, by the end of the day, President Schultz is going to be able to report back to us that probably every commencement speaker on campus this weekend has talked about pursuing your passion. Indeed, maybe every commencement speaker in the history of the planet has talked about that subject. Why is that? It's because it is important. It is not just a platitude. It's because we have learned, sometimes the hard way, that there is a difference between a job and a career. That difference is the passion you feel for the work you do. Those individuals who survived the unraveling of Arthur Andersen and went on to become successful in the years since then did so by pursuing their passion. They didn't take just any job. They held out for one where they believed they could make a difference. Some of those individuals didn't even stay in the accounting profession. They had learned that there's a difference between interest and aptitude. That is, they of course had the aptitude that was needed to do the accounting work, but they didn't really have the interest deep down inside. There's a lot of talk these days about balancing work and life. Those individuals who are pursuing their passion have no reason to distinguish between work and life. If you look at work and life as separate, the two will always be competing against each other for your time and attention. When you pursue your passion, though, your life's work is what you do every day. Passion's a very personal thing. Do not waste your time or your life living someone else's dream. Pursuing your passion will also mean that you shouldn't get discouraged when you fail. None of us is good at everything. All of us have failed at something. Those of us who are quickest to pick themselves up and overcome the disappointment are the ones most likely to succeed. Your final exams are now over. From now on, you will be tested not so much by what you know, but by who you are. Your views and values have been shaped by your time here at K-State. Your personal brand so far rides in part on the degree you are about to receive from this university. Now, you must go out and find the intersection of your interests and aptitudes so that you too can pursue your passion. I am proud to be a K-State graduate. I know you will be too.
Julie, thank you for your inspirational remarks and for your eloquent challenge to our graduates. Please accept this small token of our appreciation for your dedication and service. Thank you very much. We are grateful to have Linda Cook, Assistant Vice President of the K-State Alumni Association, in attendance. She will say a few words on behalf of the Alumni Association. Linda?
Thank you, Dr. Desai. I am very pleased to be part of your special day and to offer congratulations to you on behalf of the K-State Alumni Association, representing more than 175,000 graduates, who, by the way, will be your lifelong family at K-State. Today, as you receive your degree, we are honored to recognize you for all that you have accomplished while you are at K-State. We're also here to welcome you into a new relationship with your alma mater. Our mission at the Alumni Association is to lead and inspire lifelong involvement that will benefit Kansas State University and all members of our Wildcat community. I'd like to share 3 core values that guide us in our mission as we keep you connected with K-State. The first one is link. The Alumni Association provides that lifelong link that alumni depend on to remain connected. You can stay in touch through hundreds of activities that the Alumni Association holds on campus, around the country, and around the world. Another value is tradition, and you will likely celebrate some of those traditions today as you sing the alma mater, do the KSU letters, or do the Wildcat on your favorite spots on campus. The third value, and this one's a little unique, is purple. For K-Staters, it's more than a color. It's a symbol of pride and connection. When you see someone wearing that K-State purple or that K-State class ring, you'll feel that sense of family. And in recognition of your graduation, the College of Business and the Alumni Association are proud to provide you with a complimentary one-year membership to the Alumni Association. Please enjoy the membership benefits and continue to be active members throughout your life. Our alumni are among the most loyal in the nation. In fact, you are now part of the #1 alumni association in the Big 12 Conference based on the percent of graduates are members. And with your help, we'll make that 20 consecutive years next year. I'm also proud to share, well, I talked ahead of myself. We have been #1 for 19 consecutive years, and now with your help, we'll be 20 consecutive years. That loyalty is shared worldwide by generations of K-Staters who have that same passion for K-State that you feel today as you earn your degree from one of the finest universities in the nation. The Alumni Association is also proud to present you with an exclusive alumni business card holder. We hope you enjoy it, and as you go through life, and as your titles and as your addresses change, please be sure to let us know. We want to make sure you are always connected to your K-State family. Congratulations, and go State.
Thank you, Linda. Now it is my honor to present the Outstanding Graduating Senior in Business Award. This award is peer-selected based on service to the college as an undergraduate through involvement in the life of the college, engagement in the K-State community, and personal academic success. This semester, Mr. Michael Records was selected as the Outstanding Senior in Business. Michael, please join me at the podium. Michael is a native of Wichita, Kansas, and a graduate of Capon Mount Carmel High School. He's the son of Paul Records and Becky Luke. He's a finance major and earning the Integrated Investment Management Certificate. After graduation, Michael will begin his career with George K. Baum Investment Bankers in Kansas City, Missouri as an analyst. As an undergraduate, Michael has been involved with a number of college and campus activities to include being student director of the CBA Peer Mentoring Program and the controller of the Student Finance Association, helping to organize the first annual John Graham Memorial Golf Classic in 2014. His honors include being a Von Waden Investment Management Scholar, a top 25 student in the Professional Advantage Program, and on the Dean's List since 2011. Michael has led by example during his K-State undergraduate career, demonstrating humility and excellence in all he undertakes. Michael, it is my pleasure to present you with the Spring 2015 CBA Outstanding Graduating Senior Award. Congratulations. Each semester, one student is chosen by a vote of the faculty and staff to speak at commencement as a representative of the graduates. This semester's speaker is Ms. Suhani Gandhi. Suhani is from Olathe, Kansas. She is the daughter of Sunita and Dinesh Gandhi. A graduate of Olathe South High School, Suhani is graduating with a double major in finance and economics. She will begin her career as a business analyst for Deloitte Consulting in Kansas City, performing strategy and operations consulting. Suhani was a National Merit Scholar finalist out of high school and has earned a grade point average of 4.0 during her K-State career. If I recited all of Suhani's honors and awards, we would be here all afternoon. But they do include her membership in the Phi Kappa Phi Honor Society, the Beta Gamma Sigma International Honor Society for Business, the Order of Omega Greek Leadership Honor Society, Phi Eta Sigma National Honor Society. Are there any more Greek letters left? Gold Key International Honor Society, and the National Society of Collegiate Scholars. She was the 2013 John Delahanty Memorial Award for Commitment to Social Justice and Academic Excellence in Economics. As an undergraduate, Suhani has been a consummate leader. From her involvement in the Kappa Alpha Theta Women's Fraternity Service as president of the West Residence Hall Governing Board, to tutoring elementary school students, to organizing activities to help the homeless, or sending packaged meals to African countries, Suhani has been diligent in her efforts to positively impact the K-State community. Suhani, it is my honor to introduce you as the Spring 2015 Student Commencement Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Suhani Gandhi.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Desai, for that kind introduction. Thank you also to all the family, friends, faculty, and administrators present here today. None of us graduating would be here without your support, so thank you. To my fellow class of 2015, it's a privilege to have shared this journey with you. I want to start out by saying it's an absolute honor to have been selected as the student commencement speaker for the ceremony. However, when I was first asked to do this, I was initially a bit hesitant to accept because, like many people, public speaking is not my idea of a good time. In fact, the thought of being up here in front of so many people and risking doing something embarrassing like tripping on stage absolutely scares me. Fortunately, this hasn't happened yet. So, as I was trying to decide whether I'd be up for the challenge, I remembered this motivational quote I'd heard some time ago. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. At the time I'd heard it, I was young and thought it was really cheesy. But as I reflected on it now, it became apparent just how true and applicable to every facet of life it is. Most of the students in here today have taken Scott Hendricks' Finance 450 class, either enthusiastically or kicking and screaming. We might not remember the specifics, but I'm sure we all learned that in finance, there's a positive relationship between risk and return. I think this directly correlates to life. If we don't take risks and step beyond our comfort zone, then we're not really moving forward and reaping the returns of a rich, fulfilling, exciting life. And if we're not struggling, reaching, and pushing ourselves to progress forward to the next phases of our life, then we're just standing still. And those who stand still are left behind. So I challenge you all to not let your comfort zone define you, and do something uncomfortable each and every day of your life, whether that's giving a speech, trying for that dream job, negotiating a higher salary, taking a spontaneous trip around the world, or even asking out that person you always wanted to but didn't have the courage to. Grow comfortable with being uncomfortable. I know we often hear that college is the best 4 or 5 or 6 years of our lives, and while that may seem true, especially on Dollar Night in Aggieville, we still have our whole lives ahead of us. The average person has approximately 30,000 days to live, assuming I got the math right. That's a whole lot more days left for even better things to happen when we're only 8,000 days down. However, when we cut out sleeping hours, assuming 8 hours a night, although many of us definitely don't get that, we're left with only about 15,000 days of the original 30,000 remaining. For some less, for others more. Regardless, too little time to let fear impede us. Too little time to be unhappy with what we're doing or with the people we surround ourselves with. Too little time to stay docked in the secure harbor of certainty, growing complacent or comfortable, waiting for things to happen. Instead, we have to go out and take risks ourselves to make the things that we want to see happen each day and live the life that we want, without fear of failure, embarrassment, or perceived limitations. Our biggest risk in life isn't failure. It's getting comfortable. For many of us, stepping beyond our comfort zone may mean eventually taking a job outside of Kansas. But even for those of us who don't, we will be surrounded with people from all over the world in our globalized workforce of today, which means we'll work with people from Ivy League universities and other elite institutions. Instead of letting that discourage or deter you, it's important to realize that the experiences we've had and the culture we've been immersed in at K-State truly make us stand out. We bring to the table our special K-State blend of strong work ethic, humility, and friendliness that's unparalleled anywhere else, while still matching everyone in skill and competency. When I interned in New York City last summer, the recurring theme I heard from my coworkers was that it was very obvious that I wasn't from there, because I smiled a lot and I worked really hard without a sense of entitlement. We're equipped to be tremendously successful wherever we go thanks to this K-State culture ingrained in us. Thanks to the sincere upbringing by our families, thanks to the dedicated K-State faculty who have served as mentors to us and taught us how to critically think and apply relevant skills and knowledge, and thanks to the unique professional development opportunities offered by the College of Business that are unmatched, both within and outside the university, such as the Executive Mentor and Professional Advantage programs. And I promise the College of Business did not pay me to say that. Success does not come without its challenges, though, which certainly isn't a novel concept for any of us. We've all had plenty of stressful moments, like when it's 4 in the morning and you have a paper, test, and presentation all due that day, and you think to yourself, I just can't keep going any longer. What is it that gets us through these challenges? Aside from Starbucks, of course. For me, it was knowing that I've been given an incredible opportunity to receive a college education, which much of the world still doesn't have access to. So the next time you're facing seemingly insurmountable trials and tribulations on your journey, and it seems that success is unattainable, stop. And remember how blessed you are to even have the opportunity to pursue your dreams, no matter how difficult the path leading up to them. Don't take these opportunities and resources you've been given for granted. Use them to leave a positive mark on the world. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was, wherever you go, leave things better than you found them. Time and time again, we hear news stories of corporate scandals, of unethical behavior by business leaders, of countless examples of people negatively employing their opportunities and resources, leaving the world in a worse state than before, and marring the public's perception of the business world as being greedy and corrupt. Our graduating class can and should change that perception so that corporate America is credited with solving the world's problems, not creating them. Money and fame are transient, but your legacy is forever. Make it so that you're remembered for upholding the highest standards, following your passion, living without restraint of what others think of you, serving your community, mentoring the future, giving a voice to those who don't have one, and creating a truly lasting impact wherever you go by leaving things in a better state than you found them in. Being at the end of our undergraduate career is certainly a bittersweet time. Although it's distressing to think about leaving K-State, our home for the last few years, I know we'll be back. As passionate alumni, staying engaged with the university that's given so much to us, perhaps even funding another new building for the College of Business. Instead of reflecting on the end, let's focus on the new, exciting beginnings awaiting us. So congratulations, class of 2015. I wish each and every one of you the best of luck for your new chapter ahead. Go embrace the uncomfortable, be thankful for, and use the opportunities you have to improve the lives of those around you and leave things better than you found them. Thank you.
Thank you, Suhani.
Those pictures? Good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now for the main event. We're now ready to present the degree candidates for the College of Business Administration. Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration please rise and remain standing? President Scholz, on behalf of the faculty of Kansas State University, I am pleased to present to you the College of Business Administration class of spring 2015.
By the authority of the people of the state of Kansas and the Kansas Board of Regents, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I am pleased to confer upon you, the graduating class of spring 2015, the degree you have earned at Kansas State University. You may now move the tassel to the left side of your mortarboard. Congratulations.
Please be seated.
Will the marshals please direct the graduates to stand and approach the stage for the awarding of their degrees? Also, will the department heads and representatives please move to the end of the ramp when their respective departments are called?
Are you coming there? Do you want to pose facing toward me, or do you want to just perfect? I'll just follow you. Guess I should take it.
Candidates in accounting. John Alexander Augustine. Spencer Paul Bauer. Jordan Michelle Becker, cum laude. Cutter Britt Bookout. Matthew David Brill. Caitlin Marie Burton. Cameron Brett Butterfield. Carly Ray Canaday, cum laude. Angela Therese Carpenter, summa cum laude. Hayden James Cave. Andrew Jonathan Collins. Tyler Blaze Combs. Austin William Davis, magna cum laude. Keaton Patrick Dugan. Devin Allen Feist. Gina Lee Ferguson, cum laude. Ayodaji Obawafemi Frederick Ferrara. Dallas Sadie Lynn Gaither. Kelly Marie Golick, magna cum laude. Macy Danae Haverkamp, summa cum laude. Han He. Derek A. Hines. Jessica Gail Hibbard. Doree Rose Lene Hicks, magna cum laude. Travis Michael Holbrook, magna cum laude. Caleb Michael Hoover, cum laude. Andrea Margaret Johnson. Julie Maleta Johnson, cum laude. Preston Michael Kelly. Gage Braden Keppel, summa cum laude. Nicole Rose Cook. Kate Nicole Locke, magna cum laude. Maddie Elizabeth Loader, cum laude. Kelsey Marie Martin, magna cum laude. Sarah Louise McKittrick, summa cum laude. Christine Marie Mears. Anna Christine Messerly, magna cum laude. Kirsten Nicole Middleton. Allison Marie Miller, cum laude. Andrea Christine Novak, summa cum laude. Jacob Edward Omas. Jamie L. Parker. Claire Nicole Ross, magna cum laude. Stephen Tyler Stelting. Derek Joseph Wagoner. Stanton J. Weber, summa cum laude. Morgan Janice Whittam. Sharon Nicole Williams. Jian Yu, summa cum laude. Sheng Zhang. Yupeng Zheng. Candidates for entrepreneurship: Michael Chen. Nicholas Da Silva Bernal. Jeremy Ryan Edwards. Jordan Christine Jones. Samantha Haley Cal. Janet Rose Kisner. Mark Andrew Nichols. Amber Ray Petty. Jeff Norton Rixey. Michael Edward Sheridan. Jacob Edwards Silliman, magna cum laude. Matthew Patrick Stanford. Charles Louis Unstapher. Dennis Tobin Unstapher. Ariel Nicole Vos. Candidates in finance: Lacey Janine Ackerman, cum laude. Bradley Allen Barclay. Alex Michael Beamer, cum laude. Lara Blomberg, summa cum laude. Jason Matthew Berger. Logan Allen Carlisle. Defeng Shai. Shuaoman Chen. Jared Isaac Cook. Levi Lewis Cyphers. Brian William David. Andrew Claude DeBoard. Garrett Andrew Degenhart. Thomas Lawrence Einek, cum laude. Tyler William Fortney. Suhani Gandhi, summa cum laude. David Thomas Glensky. Corbin Joseph Geerdert. Courtney Marie Getch. Dylan Thomas Grimm. Michael John Gross III. Nicholas Robert Hassig. Shelby James Hattasall. Brianna K. Hayes. Derek T. Hickey. Heidi Ann Hilton, cum laude. Thank you. Young Hu. Ann T. Trang Wen. Justin Paul Irvine. Grant P. Jackson, summa cum laude. Mingshen Jiang. Alexander David Jones. Brian Dean Jordan. Mallory Catherine Keating. Jacob Tyler Quioth. Yunjai Lee. Ross Anthony Leibel. Stephen Colin Lawrence. Con Liao. Jin Ma. Tyler Scott Maddox. Lance Dean Maldonado. Austin Anderson May, cum laude. Gannon Clark Mayer. Alexandria Irene Meisenheimer. Joshua David Montague. Dylan Scott Newsom. Teresa Marie Orane. Michael Joseph Peabody. Tyler Lance Pemble. Mai Chi Pham. Zachary Tyler Pitts. Sammy Abdullah Ragaban. Joantine Railu. Michael Burton Records, magna cum laude. Matthew Daniel Rennick. Michael Thomas Rogenmoser. Cassie Melinda Ruth. Briannan William Sanderford. Jake Sankey, cum laude. Calvin Schneider. Lucas James Schroeder. Connor Eugene Smith. Christopher Adam Sork. Kristen Marie Stevens. Jillian Ray Stewart. Kelsey Marie Teason. Luke Davis Townsend. Ashley Linyanya Yule, cum laude. Shannon Stewart Vaughn. Christina Lee Wagner. Jordan Lee Walker. Keenan Gregory Warren. Nicholas Ianashi Weber. Brett Allen Whalen. Jacob Matthew Wren. Sinyu Wu. Yikong Yao. Jingwen Zhen. Chen Zhang. Yang Zhang. Candidates for general business. Heather Dunscombe. Jacob Ryan Earls. Krista Marie Glasner. Casey Jordan Henderson. Lisa Marie Holden. Krista R. Johnson. Nicole Ann Mitchell. Brett R. Procish. Joshua Johan Staub. Gus William Wessels. Michael Lee Wilson.
Candidates for management. Talal Al-Hareth Al-Khaled. Raylene Lynette Allen. Allison Farrell Anderson. Joel Thomas Antonopoulos. Garrett Ross Arner. Brian Beal. Jonathan J. Bachard. Megan Renee Beckman. Abby Nicole Bontrager, summa cum laude. Grace Anna Berghardt, cum laude. Lucero Ciccone, magna cum laude. Tao Chen.
So this one, sometimes you have to grab your attention.
Amy Donnell Crick.
Sometimes you have to listen.
Ning Trey. Hermias Deraje. Kimberly Brooke Debley. McNeil Philip Dolliver. Daniel Alexander Eklund, cum laude. Haley Megan Fosna Byersmith. Erica Jean Janikin. Colby Douglas Gwartney. Casey Joseph Haber. Brandon Lewis Haggard. Kyle James Haverkamp. Yan Jun Hu. Ryan Michael Herder, cum laude. Lindsay Taylor Hunt. Cade Lincoln Kohler. Graham Turner Krizek. Hallie Croker. Lindsay Jesse Langford. Bettina Laura Genevieve Luna. Ryan M. Manor. Logan Dane Marshall. Samuel Luke Marshall. Ryland DeMarcus McRoy. David Mejia Zaccaro. Matthew N. Mendel. Dylan Anthony Mendocina. Jordan Scott Meyer. Jonathan Dennis Meese. Catherine Lee Meese. Ryan Joseph Mustaine. Kyle Needham. Laura Marie Negley. Carter Thomas Olson. Luke Thomas Pash. Lonnie Eric Penner. Hannah Paige Penny, magna cum laude. Mercedes Yvonne Perry. Elizabeth Ann Petit. Kinsey Ray Phelan. Alexandra Stevens Plowman. Krista Marin Poor. Kylie Elizabeth Rethman. Abby Ray Regal. Thomas Ian Riggs. Amber Marie Roberts. Caitlin Rayanne Rogers. Alexandra Elizabeth Sager. Kristen Lee Sanders. Dylan Miles Schellenberg. Julia Sickle. Cameron Lynn Spray. Leslie Nicole Starks. Chi-Chi Tang. Joseph David Thomas. Gu Tien. Mateo Javier Ugarte. Richard Joseph Walter. Nicole Aileen Wasserman. Parker Lane Weedle, magna cum laude. Spencer Stanley Wilds. Brian Ross Willis. Michiko Yamazaki. Le Yang. Candidates for Management Information Systems. Caleb Richard Batman. Wesley Elaine Kano. Justin Tyler Earhart. Tyler Sean Finland. Christopher Lawrence Havenstein, magna cum laude. Austin Taylor Hyman. Stephen Daniel Heitmeyer. Robert Jean Howard. Matthew Roland Hughes. Spencer Douglas Jensen. Cecilia Lacey Lehman. Evan Michael Loomis. George Davis Mann. Philip Charles Major. Joseph Pacifico Marks. Hayden Allen Minor. Rebecca Marie Moidel. Cody Lynn Moreland. Jonathan E. Mossberg. Francis Lawrence Novasconi. Tanner Jonah Knowlton. Jeffrey Andrew O'Donnell. Justin Michael O'Donnell. Caitlin Marie Pitts. Austin Tyler Robish. Kayla Danielle Roughton, summa cum laude. Jake Allen Simmons. Sarab Singh. Pierce Joseph Stevens. Caleb Lee Strongbroom. Jake Donegan Walsh. Candidates for marketing. Alex Alfano Augustinowitz. Riley Andrew Barker. Chelsea Kaylin Bass. Tyler Aaron Bedell. Christopher Garrett Brown. DeMarcus Montez Brown. Douglas Andrew Brown. Justin Thomas Bryan. Ashley Elizabeth Clark. Jordan C. Cox. Julie Damian. Matthew Thomas Debus. Lujer Dung. Sean Patrick Dennehy. Ethan Windsor Duvetter, magna cum laude. Chase Downing. Zachary Jackson Downing. Kevin Gallagher Doan. Tyler J. Egan. Thomas McCain Emke. Kristen Lynn Everett. Alexandra Ann Furless. Lee Cody Forster. Hannah Catherine Franzen, cum laude. Benjamin Jordan Gates. Kimberly Kylie Gershner. Craig Wesley Gearing. Brianna Elise Gomez. Lisa Marie Grouse. Andrew Joseph Gromes. Grace Ann Hageman. Jessica Ray Haddisall. Kevin Michael Hawkins. David Scott Henderson. Renee Ivan Hernandez. Rebecca Lynn Hickey. Philip R. Hill, Jr. Xavier Thomas Hoover. Allison Carey Harrell. Yang Huang. Jenna Lee Hughes. Courtney Ruth Hollinger. Aaron Michael Iman. Brittany Marie George. Kara Nicole Katzenberg.
Help take the stacks, I will.
Ryan Perry Knight. Ashlyn Danae Knoll. Thomas Lee Collars. Garrick Arthur Lair. Blake Christopher Langley. McKenna Lee Langer. James Michael Larson. Ji Jun Lee. Lane Miles Lindhorst. Angela Marie Lineberg. Bryce Connor Lobb. Chris Loya. Alex Christian Lubeck. Jingpin Ma. Yu Ma. Catherine Lynn McGregor. James Alexander Marks. Jared Michael Mayberry. Samantha Ann McCullough. Alexa Marie Maley. Brett Kenneth Miller. Andrew James Moeller, cum laude. Dwight Daniel Morey. Braden Mark Nettermeyer. Caitlin Sue Pittman. Taylor Lauren Pope, magna cum laude. Haley Nicole Powell. David B. Printers. Nicole Chi Ryder. Michael Joel Relic. Scott Arthur Packness Sadik. Jessica Lynn Sanko. Kelsey Jordan Skibout. Aubrey Ann Schlitzer. Heather Schmidtlein. Robert Chris Schrader, summa cum laude. Kelly Ray Schamberg. Rachel Marie Smith, cum laude. Tiara Nicole Smith. Elizabeth Catherine Staskowitz. Jordan Wesley Steckline. Megan Marie Sutter. Justin Miles Thomas. Courtney Marie Thompson. Ashley Christina Toy. Todd J. Vielhauer. Stephanie Rose Wacker. Wei Wang. Curtis Ryan Wendling. Luke Andrew Warehan. Stephen Glenn West. Haley Marie Wishman. Brianna Sophie Wishkup. Jacob Michael Whitcop. Asha Renee James Woods. Gia Young. Julie Ann Yankee, magna cum laude. Connor Michael Zishka.
File that so we can get it back where it was. How can I help? You know what you got better than me. You need those? You done?
Congratulations to all of you. Let us recognize the outstanding accomplishments of these graduates one more time. There is one small housekeeping matter. If you would, please depart the main area of the arena as quickly as possible so that the Bramlage staff can prepare for the next ceremony. You're welcome to meet in the concourse area for pictures and conversations. Graduates, it has been the privilege of the College of Business Administration's faculty and staff to work with you over the last few years. At this time, would you please follow our marshals to the rear of the Coliseum, up the stairs and into the concourse area. We would ask that the audience to please remain seated until the platform party and graduates have exited the Coliseum. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you.